Okay, here we go. Personal progress, manifesting for week 1 and week 2. What has changed? What, if anything, after 2 weeks? So I'm combining week 1 and 2 together. After 2 weeks, what has changed in my outer world from playing in my inner world? I've showed up to Dream, as you could see, if you follow the community, if you follow the channel, I've showed up to my Dreamtime chair, which was created from Dreamtime itself. I didn't have a Dreamtime chair until I started, closing my eyes and, focusing on that warm breeze at first. Then that expanded. And then I saw myself, one of the very first visions that started to really unfold for me was a bungalow or a villa in Bali. And I was able to see myself wake up and go out onto the deck by the pool, right up against the jungle. And there was a chair there. And there was 2 chairs, actually. And I realized those were my designated chairs. I had designated chairs for Dreamtime, for manifesting, for creating, for playing in my 5D, Kingdom of Heaven, whatever you want to call it. I had that. So after that vision, that's where the Dreamtime chair was created. So I have one now. It's actually this massive bean bag that was, it's actually got a queen size mattress in it. It's pretty cool. But anyway, that's my chair. I've been sitting there every day and I've moved past the resistance. I'm able to hold my focus. I can go easily into my dream time without being attacked or torn down by negative thoughts, judgments, memories, pulling me back out of there, pulling my focus out. So I'm going to read to you. I didn't do a video, but I'm going to start doing these because I know that when I do something, I want to know if this really works. I want to know if there's something to this, or if I'm just wasting my time. Is this whole law of attraction, this whole manifesting just, it's actually not anything people are doing or working on or controlling within themselves. It's just, coincidence or luck, or, they're just, lucky, or I want to know. I want to know if this really works. And if it really works, I want to know what it is that you do to do it and to keep going. So that's what I'm sharing with you here. And from my experience, this first 2 weeks, I hope this is not going to be a long video. I'm going to really try to shorten this out. Okay. All right. So week 1, the main thing that I saw in week 1 was really kind of getting to know what makes me feel good. And then I started taking better care of myself, better care of my image, what I was wearing. When you've been in a funk a while and you've been down in those lower vibrations, you don't care what you look like, you don't care what you dress like, you just don't care. You isolate, you don't talk to anybody, you just, it doesn't look good or feel good. And so one of the first things that I noticed was my mood elevated. And then I started doing yoga. I had more moments of just feeling joy and excitement. I painted my toenails. I started doing little leg toning exercises because in one of my visuals I saw my body really, especially my legs, really toned. So I thought, I could do that. I could bring that into my reality now. I could start doing leg exercises. I stopped eating bread and had made every meal. I started cooking my food, was not going through drive-thrus, and really all this was I didn't plan that, or I didn't sit back and say, oh my God, this, I've got to stop going. No, it just kind of happened, and I just kind of realized it after the fact. I then started going on Pinterest, and I actually found a picture of one of the houses that I had been imagining in my kingdom of heaven. It was exactly what I saw, and it was in a location that, I wanted to live or have at least one of my houses, because it's a house I raised, or a place I raised my kids. And I found it. Like, oh my gosh. So I started playing with that more and more. And then I started looking at Airbnbs for a retreat that I was seeing in my head, where, we would all come together and play together. And Ashley even was able to, take my husband into kind of a dream time without him knowing that I was doing it, just by asking certain questions. And I watched him get this smile on his face, and his mood lifted like instantly just from talking about it. So that was different. I posted more. I interacted more. I reached out to people I hadn't talked to in forever. Started drinking green tea. Started drinking less sodas and moving away from that, and craving more water, green tea, and high vibe clean foods. So overall, I could see that changes were happening, changes in my habits, because as I was going into Dreamtime in week 1, a lot of it, what I realized was that made me happy was some really good daily habits. Like, I could see myself get up every morning, and I would go out to my dream chair by the pool, and I would sip my green tea, and I would wrap up in a nice blanket, and then I would go have a nice lunch. Like, it was just the daily life. Like, it was just daily habits. And then that made me start thinking about the habits that I have, and that they're not that great. And we all have habits. We all have daily habits. But if the fear voice has been in control of you, it's also in control of your daily actions and habits. So once I started stepping back more in control of my emotional state and my creative powers, I started creating some of them just naturally. I didn't give a whole lot of thought to that. It just naturally started surfacing, and I would see it happening in that inner kingdom. I would see the true me, the happy me, and that's what I was doing in there. So I was like, okay, well, if that's what I'm doing in there, that's an easy thing I can do out here. Like, I don't have to wait till, all this, I'm actually in that house to do that activity, or to drink that drink, or to have that food. Like, that's easily accessible to me now. I can pull that into my current reality right now. So I started doing that as much as I possibly could, and I could feel the momentum starting to build as I was not just doing it during dream time. I was all throughout the day. Like, I would be getting laundry out of the dryer, and I wouldn't see myself in the house I am now, standing at the laundry room I have now. No, I was in a totally different house, totally different laundry room. It was so beautiful and open and airy and white, and however I wanted it at that time. But I was moving through my world while seeing and interacting and still playing and living in that inner kingdom. Okay, so that was week 1. Now week 2. Oh my God. Did some things start to really shift in my outer world? I don't even know where to start with this. Let's start with my work life. Okay, so as you know, 1 week of just playing with the idea of retreats, I'd had a lot of resistance around retreats, because, and all that means is I had a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of negative judgments, and a lot of negative memories around doing retreats. I had thoughts of, I can't do it, I'll never be able to do it, it's too hard, you can't organize everybody's schedule, and this one can come, and that one can't come, and that one doesn't have the money, and da-da-da-da-da, and on and on and on. That was the past memories I had. It was hard. It was just hard. It was hard to pull it all together, but that was my past programming, so of course that's what I experienced of it being hard. So during Dreamtime, I started addressing those negative programs. So I did my 2-chair method. Sometimes I did the 4-step to enter the kingdom of heaven method. I really like that one probably better than the 2-chair. If you don't know what that is, you can find that here on my channel under the podcast, the Vibe Doctor podcast playlist. But I had to do some work around retreat life because I knew I had some resistance, I had some negative programs, and I needed to clear that up. So I did my work in my Dreamtime sessions. I did my work, I cleared that up, and then I went into heaven about it. Then I went to my 5D heaven, kingdom of heaven. And then I started playing with how I wanted it to be. I want it to be easy. I want all the right people at just the right time in the right place to just show up and let's just do this. And I also am I'm still continuing to work with this in my inner heaven even if they don't get it when they come, like they don't understand it fully, as soon as they're there 24 hours, they've got it and they are already manifesting. I'm setting it up for success in my mind, that they break free, they break through their resistance, they get to know their true self. So all these wonderful things. All right, so now let's go to the story of what started happening and unfolding on week 2 around this topic. So my husband hunts competitively. He has a hunting dog and he hunts in competitions. Well, his hunting dog has recently, there's different levels, I won't bore you, but he made night champion and then he made grand night champion because he won his last competition, and now he has an opportunity for even bigger hunt. So my husband had several states to choose from that were hosting the hunt. You could pick, whatever state you wanted to go to and enter the hunt from there. Well, he hadn't decided, and the first of this week, he sent me a message and said, we're going to Kentucky. And just the day before, I had spoken to a client of mine that I've known and loved forever, and we have been wanting to do a retreat together, or at least meet. We've tried to meet several times and it just never worked out. But I just talked to her the day before because she messaged me out of the blue. It had been a while since we'd had a session, and it was a Sunday. I don't normally do sessions on Sunday, but it was like, yeah, of course we're going to do a session. So we did a session, and then the very next day, my husband says we're going to Kentucky. Well, what's odd about that is she lives in Kentucky. So I was like, something's up here. And my first thought was, I'm going to go see her. Like, regardless, I'm going to go see her. We're going to Kentucky. I'm going to go see her. So I texted her. I said, where do you live in Kentucky? Because I knew that we were going to Lancaster. And my husband said, my client said, I said, how far are you from Lancaster? As soon as I found out where we were going, I texted her, how far are you from Lancaster? And she said, well, if I'm at my mom's, it's like 10 minutes away. I was like, no way. So that told me that door was opening because of a man. That was just too synchronistic. It was too coincidental. It was too perfect not to be something that was unfolding in my 3D from the work I was doing in my 5D. So then my little wheels, the little squirrel starts running around in my head, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I wonder if we could have a retreat. Because, when we go on these trips, it's like we're there for 3 days. I don't go out on the competition hunts with him. They don't let us take video or anything of those, so there's no point of me really going. So I stay home, or I stay at the AirBnB where we are. And so I was like, what if I planned just a little and it just started to evolve, a little 3-person retreat, and I wonder how that would work. And then I had some limiting thoughts come in. Oh, well, what if, you don't want to make your client feel like you're pressuring her into paying for a retreat because you're going to go visit her anyway. It just all came out perfect. The way it was worded, the way the conversation went, she didn't feel pressured at all. And so I was like, I'm going to think this through. And I'm going to get a little web page together on my website, angiejohnson.com, if you're wondering. And I'm going to make a retreat page. And I just spit it out it took me about 2 hours to just put it all together. I didn't feel stressed to do it. I didn't feel pressured to do it. I didn't feel obligated to do it. I didn't feel like it was a pain in the butt to do it. I wanted to do it. I was excited to do it. There was energy behind it. And I did it, and there it was. It was short, simple, to the point. I even made out the schedule of the retreat schedule of what we'll be doing. And I put it together. I got the link, the booking link, and I decided on a price. I asked one of my other friends who she goes to a lot of retreats, and I asked her what the going rate was for anyway. I got it priced. I felt really good about the price, even though I had resistance around that too that I had to work through. I had to do my methods to reduce that pain and judgment and bad memories around, money. And I did that. I pushed through that. I broke through it. And I put the price on there. I felt good about it. And I texted my client, my friend, and she's like, "Oh, I'm in. I'm coming. This is happening." And I'm like, "Oh my God, like really? Like how incredibly easy was that?" There was no selling. There was no insane. So then I was like, okay, well, I bet maybe we could get, because I wanted 3. I was like, I need to put this out to everybody on my Teachable platform, which is where my courses sit. And I can send out a mass email there. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to put this out. And I did put out an email, which in the past, what I really want you to get is in the past, that would have been like, oh, I don't want to write an email. It didn't feel anything like it did in the past. It didn't feel like selling. It just felt like I'm so excited. There was a very different energy behind it. I'm so excited about what's happening right now, and I want to tell you about it and give you an opportunity to be excited with me. That was the energy behind it. So then I did that, and then I texted some of another lady, just sending her a link to a video I had made, and she's like, she had sent a message earlier that day saying, I really want to go to this, but, the funds are just not there. And, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to start seeing her there. I know what she just said, but I see her with plenty of money, and this is perfect. And she texted me at the end of the day saying she was coming. She was coming and had paid her money by the time that day was over. I booked 2 of the spots within the first 24 hours of deciding I was having a retreat. Then the 3rd one came the next day. Within 48 hours of the idea forming, I had 3 retreat spots booked and paid for. That to me is unbelievable. I can believe it because I saw it happen, and I saw it happen in my inner world, not in that way, not in all those details. And this is another point I want to get to. Don't worry about the details when you're in your 5D playing. Worry about the feeling. Don't worry about the details. Worry about the feeling that you're creating in your body. Because the details may not, match perfectly, but you'll have the same result that will produce the same feeling that you were feeling in your inner kingdom of heaven. Okay? So don't get tied up and feel pressure around the details and seeing how it's, every little thing, how it's supposed to play. Go in there and play. That's your play world, to play with anything that feels good. And then watch what transpires. Watch how it reflects. Because the reflection will look a little different than what you were doing in your 5D, but have the same result, if not better. So there we are. So in week 2, went from, I'll never be able to do retreat life again, to now not only having a retreat booked, I also have people asking me for more retreats, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll plan another one. Let me get kind of this one scheduled and under my belt, and we're going to have, I can see that this is going to be something that goes on throughout this year and beyond. So there's more retreats coming. And this is like a dream come true, because it was in my dream world, in my Dreamtime chair. And here it is already. I mean, that sprouted up quick in my 3D reality. Also, my bank account. I'm not going to tell you actual numbers, but I will tell you, and I had to sit and do the math on this, looking at my bank account before I started week 1 to my bank account at the end of 14 days, of 2 weeks, has multiplied itself 8 times. So I have 8 times the money in my bank account now than I did on day 1. 8 times. So what did I do? Did I sit and stress and how am I going to make this money? And did I plan and scheme and try and struggle and worry? No, opposite. All I did was showed up in my Dreamtime chair. Yes, I had some work to do. It was work. I mean, it wasn't hard work. I mean, it was, mental work. It wasn't physical work. It was just mental work. And yes, I had some resistance I had to drop and get past. And, I noticed it as it came up. I dealt with it, and then I went in, I turned that key and went on into my inner kingdom of heaven. And I made it like I wanted it to be, easy. I wanted it to be easy and book easy and everything to fall into place and pick the perfect spot. And that's just what's happened. It is insane. So that's my manifesting success story after 14 days of doing Dreamtime sessions. And I will be doing another one of these next week. So what your takeaway should be is, I don't care where you are vibrationally right now. I want you to go find yourself a Dreamtime spot. Show up there every day. I'm putting out supportive videos on the Vibe Doctor Tarot channel. The Vibe Doctor podcast has all these supportive, everything there is supporting you to do this. Get in that chair. Resistance is going to come up. Like, you're going to have that, that won't have, those negative thoughts, those pessimistic thoughts, those negative judgments, those old thoughts of, failure, memories of failure. Those are going to surface and try to hold you back from entering into your kingdom of heaven in your imagination. Deal with those. Don't fight with them or try to ignore them and just go on in anyway. It won't work. You've got to deal with them. Deal with them once and for all. See them pass right on over you and dissolve and not touch you like we do in the 4 steps to entering the kingdom of heaven. Do it. Then when you're clear, you're ready, there's no resistance, you're relaxed, you're in relief, go into your 5D. Make it how you want it. Go there every day. When you're walking around in your 3D, or your physical world, imagine, see yourself in that imaginary world. See your imaginary world superimposed over the world you're actually walking around in. Do it. Play with it. It's fun. It's not hard. It's not something you have to make yourself do. It's very enjoyable once you get into it. You just have to get into it. I hope this helps you. Please join us in the community on this channel, because that is where I'm posting things, and I'm also seeing the High Vibe Tribe. You're going to be able to join that soon, and I'm just not sure what platform, but it's going to unfold perfectly. And you can do that in case you don't want to come to the community, if you want it to come maybe through email. I'm not really sure how I want to do that yet. So, yeah, that might be what I do, an email list where it comes to your email. We'll see. We'll see. We're going to let that unfold. Again, not stressful, not trying to figure out anything. Let your dream time, chair time, tell you the next idea, and then you take action out of an energy of excitement. I hope this helps. See you on the next podcast.